All right, good Thursday evening, everybody. Chief Meteorologist Malloy Schnell here from WHAS 11 in Louisville, Kentucky, hopping on this live stream to talk about our active weather pattern that we're going to see now through the weekend and into even early next week. Tomorrow, we did trigger a weather impact alert day because we are under a level 2 out of 5 for severe storms tomorrow afternoon and evening, and that's part of our criteria for triggering a weather impact alert day. So we're going to talk about the latest model data, any kind of timing and threats that you might be able to expect, the total amount of rain we're expecting over the next couple of days, and of course we'll take a look at the current radar as well. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to take a live look outside over downtown Louisville. This is from our Hughes and Coleman U of L Health camera. Louisville, we have stayed dry and very muggy today. So temperatures topped out in the 80s, not quite as hot as earlier in the week, but take a look at that dew point right now, 66 degrees. So those feel like temperatures are a couple of degrees warmer than the actual air temperature due to that heat index. Your 24-hour estimated rainfall map. So we had a line of showers and thunderstorms off to our west and northwest. I was probably tracking them during the 11 o'clock newscast last night. They were very slow movers, basically training over the same areas where you're seeing the yellows, the oranges, the reds last night. And as they attempted to move eastward this morning, they basically fell apart and fizzled as they moved into our area. And we can take a look at the 12-hour radar loop here. I'm going to put this in a loop. You can see these showers and storms is 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Pushing east, looks like it could have been a soggy commute. And pretty much southern Indiana saw the bulk of that shower activity. Louisville, you might have picked up a couple of sprinkles, but for the most part, Kentucky, we got another dry day, just a very humid day. And at this point, we are tracking a few isolated downpours still at this point, so I'm going to pause it so we can take a look at those. But once again, these have been throughout southern Indiana, a few of them just southwest of Evansville. Looks like that's not in our viewing area, and more so a cluster that's heading toward the Cincinnati metro. So many of us, once again, getting a dry night out there, but not the most pleasant in terms of weather conditions, because take a look at that. Dew points are in the mid to upper 60s, lower 70s. This is when it starts to feel a bit oppressive, and you definitely start to feel that summer-like humidity. And this, of course, is going to aid in some of the rain chances, heavy rainfall potential that we have over the coming days. But let's take a look at the Max HD radar across the lower 48. You can see it is messy no matter what region of the country you're looking at. You have ongoing showers and thunderstorms along the East Coast, down in the Carolinas, off Jacksonville. Looks like a few strong storms up in Pennsylvania and New York State. Anywhere where you see those yellow or red boxes, those are severe thunderstorm watches and tornado watches. That's more so in Texas, New Mexico, Kansas, eastern Colorado, as well Oklahoma. We're of course paying attention to that cold front that you can tell is just off to our north and northwest. This has been slowly approaching and is basically going to stall out over the next couple of days. It's going to become a little bit more horizontal leaning, and it's going to stall out and give us rounds of showers and thunderstorms over the next several days. So once again, as I mentioned, weather impact alert on Friday. This is due to the potential for heavy rainfall and strong winds primarily. So as would be the case with any kind of severe potential, make sure you have several ways to receive weather warnings. This is that time of year where I know everybody's out and about wanting to do outdoor things. It's summertime, right? We have the Super Regional tomorrow afternoon. You might want to go to the pool or Kentucky Kingdom or who knows what, but make sure you have ways to receive alerts. And say you're out on a lake or in a pool, even if a storm is not severe, if you hear thunder, you need to head inside and get back to, if you're on a lake, get back to shore, because if you hear thunder, you're close enough to be struck by lightning. But you can see the severe weather outlook for tomorrow really hasn't changed since the update yesterday, level 2 out of 5 for much of Kentuckiana. If I zoom out, you can see it's a wide swath of the country. Really stretching from Colorado, eastern New Mexico, Texas, and then we'll be confined to that boundary as we head into the afternoon and evening hours when we could have a complex of thunderstorms moving in from the west to the east. The timing we'll take a look at in just a moment. But the main thing I'm concerned about, damaging winds. If we get this kind of complex rolling through here, it can move through with some strong to severe wind gusts. Severe wind gusts, 58 miles per hour or greater. So that's certainly a possibility tomorrow, and that is the greatest threat. I know everybody always wants to know what the tornado threat is. It really looks like it's more so off to our southwest, but you can see a little portion of Kentuckiana included in, or that's about half of the viewing area, a 2% chance of seeing a tornado within 25 miles of a point. So tornado threat, not super high, not completely zero, but not our main concern. And then even hail, yes, we could see that, especially if there's any individual cells that pop up, but that's not a huge threat either. So this isn't a slam dunk of a severe weather threat, but it is the best severe weather threat we have of the week, which is why we're paying attention to it. Rain chances next 5 days. Friday, Saturday especially. Sunday looks to be maybe a morning lingering shower. And then Monday, another chance midday and into the afternoon as a front finally pushes this all the way down to the south. And yes, Monday could bring us some strong storms as well. Even though we're starting to transition out of our typical severe weather season here in Kentuckiana, you obviously know heat, humidity, that adds instability to thunderstorms and is something that we have to watch for any kind of strong weather potential. Now through Monday, we could pick up anywhere between 1 inch to 2 inches, it looks like, across much of the area. Isolated amounts of 3, not out of the question, with any kind of heavier storms, of course. And I will say the good thing about the nature of these storms is we're still going to get plenty of dry time each day. It's only a certain day part where we might see some of those storms, and they may be heavy, they may be strong, but we're not talking about all day rain that's going to lead to major river flooding or anything of that sense. But your weekend forecast, Sunday definitely the pick of the weekend. Of course, we have the WHAS Crusade for Children. I'll be out at Paristown on Saturday, and I'm hoping that the rain holds off, even though we have a covering, but still. We'll be watching that Saturday, could be late afternoon, evening into the overnight. I think Saturday will really depend on Friday. So this is also one of those setups where the timing of the storm chances on a day could be really dictated by when the storms clear out the day before and where a boundary sets up. So it's always one of those situations where you want to check back each day and get the latest look at the forecast. But Saturday, that severe weather threat starts to push down to the south. We're still under level 1 out of 5, so certainly something to monitor, especially once again with a lot of activities going on. Super regional again on Saturday. It does look like that morning lunchtime game, though, should be able to get in on Saturday, more likely rather than that game tomorrow afternoon. So let's take a look at the Futurecast. This is one of our in-house weather models called the Graph, and this shows an isolated pop-up storm through this evening and tonight. But we get some dry time tonight and into tomorrow morning, staying very muggy. Wouldn't be surprised if winds relax and we get a little bit of clearing, some patchy fog. Upper 60s, low 70s, certainly humid for tomorrow morning, but mostly dry. By about lunchtime into the afternoon, some models want to pop a few storms down to the south. And once we head into the afternoon evening time frame, that's when we're paying attention to what could be a complex of storms. You can see that looks very menacing on this weather graphic, and you can tell it's bowing out a little bit. It has kind of that curve to it, and anytime there's a curve, obviously that can lead to some strong winds. So we will be watching that. The timing has been between about 3 to 7 or 3 to 8 p.m. And then this pushes off to our east, might have some lingering showers or storms overnight, and then we wait to see how the atmosphere recovers for Saturday. So I want to show this other model. This is our other high resolution model and just how different it looks. So the previous run of this model looked a lot like the one that I just showed you. 3 to 8 p.m., that complex rolling through here. This is tomorrow morning, okay, mostly quiet, maybe a pop-up to the south. And then tomorrow afternoon and evening, it doesn't really congeal, and that threat hangs around the parkways and pushes down to the east and southeast. Now that's kind of an outlier, but I just wanted to show you what the latest model run looked like. And with that, you know, there's always the potential that it misses some of our northern counties. So that's going to be we'll see if that becomes a trend or if that previous model run looks better. But once again, this shows at 3 o'clock Saturday, mostly dry over our area. We can see that shower and storm activity off to the west and southwest. So that's why I think we could have storms rolling back in by Saturday evening. So super regional for tomorrow afternoon. First pitch is at 3 p.m. Will we get the game in? That is the question. So I think looking at things, we could at least get in a few innings. Of course, these games have gone 2.5 to 3 hours, it seems like lately. So I do think we will probably end up with a delay at some point, especially if we get that complex of strong to severe thunderstorms in here. We'd have to wait until late in the evening for that to clear for them to resume play. So expect some delays Friday, I think, for the Super Regional. Saturday, the game's at 11 a.m., and I would think that they should be able to get that one in just fine before those storms roll back in late afternoon and into the evening hours. So here's a check of your 7-day forecast. Once again, tomorrow, a weather impact alert day. Watching that complex of storms that may roll through here between 3 and 8 p.m. or so. And then Saturday, we'll have to wait and see how the atmosphere recovers, but it could be another evening, maybe overnight chance. A few showers may linger into Sunday as that all tries to push down to the south. Expect temperatures near normal in the lower 80s this weekend. Upper 70s Monday and Tuesday. Another midday chance Monday as a front swings through here. And then we should get some dry time Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. That would bring us more sunshine as well as a break in the rain. And I'm going to pull up the dew point graph for the next several days as it updates here. So you can see humid, 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 humid with all the rain chances. There's those 2 dry days, Tuesday and Wednesday, which will be comfortable, of course, midweek. And then potentially another rain chance next Thursday, but that's still a little bit too far out to know for certain. So I'm going to start back quickly with what the radar looks like right now for anybody having any plans this evening. No major issues. Honestly, today's rain chance just kind of was much ado about nothing for many of us. I mean, if you were in southern Indiana this morning, you likely had a shower on your way into work. You might have had an isolated downpour this afternoon and evening. But you can tell here, the rain chances are few and far between. We're seeing them along I-69, around Seymour maybe, and more so moving north of Cincinnati. Doesn't look like anything is severe, but as I mentioned, we're really paying attention to tomorrow's severe weather threat. So tomorrow is a weather impact alert day. We have that level 2 out of 5. I'd say especially along I-64 and south, it looks like tomorrow. With damaging winds being the primary severe weather threat that we're really worried about. And then on top of that, just days of rain. We could pick up 1 to 2 plus inches of rainfall between now and Monday night. So I'll walk you through the graph one more time because this one has still that complex moving through in the afternoon and evening. As I mentioned, with this kind of setup with a stationary front, it's definitely a forecast that you want to pay attention to as we continue onward into this weekend. So check back in the mornings during our newscast and check back in the evenings for the latest updates. But isolated pop-up through early tonight, mostly dry tomorrow morning, maybe a little bit of activity south out ahead of this complex that may be rolling through from the west. We'll have to see how that initiates and evolves tomorrow morning off to our west. But that could pack a punch with strong winds, heavy rainfall, lightning, very low end tornado threat, and that pushes off to the east and northeast, and that would dry us out for Saturday morning. And then we have to kind of see where boundaries set up for Saturday afternoon and evening, but we do have at least a scattered chance Saturday evening through Saturday night, lighter chance Sunday morning, another chance Monday around the afternoon hours, and then drier days Tuesday and Wednesday. All right. That's about all I have this evening. I want to thank you all for joining in on this stream. Once again, Chief Meteorologist Malloy Schnell here at WHAS 11 in Louisville, Kentucky. We will be back on the TV side of things after the NBA playoffs game. First game tonight on ABC. So typically our newscast at 11 p.m. We'll see if we go on on time this evening. But we will be on whenever the game is over, so you can get the latest look. I'll have the latest look at the model runs coming in tonight for that severe weather threat tomorrow. And of course, meteorologist Matt Breland will be in on GMK tomorrow between 5 and 7 a.m. So thanks for joining me and have a great rest of your evening.